All right, greetings, students. We're about to go ahead and do some trigonometry. And the trigonometry we're doing right now is we're doing inverse trigonometric ratios, which we're finding the missing degrees. Okay, and so we're given two of the sides, sometimes three of the sides, but we have to figure out the degrees. Okay, to do that, the first thing we want to do is step one here. If you look at our trig steps, it says find the hypotenuse, the adjacent, and the opposite. And so we need to find these three right here first. And to do that, the first step is finding the hypotenuse. And to do that, we start off with the right angle box right here. And we picture a bow and arrow going right across. That tells us what the hypotenuse is going to be. And then if you look here, it says find measurement angle C. This is what we're looking for right here, C. And you can see C is right here. So that means this is the unknown. And remember, the hypotenuse, they're always adjacent. I'm going to draw this right here with the hypotenuse is always connected to the adjacent through the missing degrees here. And so this is always going to be adjacent. And the last one over here is going to be opposite. Okay, then the next thing it says find the known sides. Well, actually, in this particular problem, they gave us the figures. They gave us 21, 20, and 29. So we already know the known sides. So now we have to find the trig ratio. So what I'm going to do on this particular problem, since we have three sides here that are given, we're going to do sine, cosine, and tangent. We're going to use all three. And then we're going to double check our answers to make sure we're doing it correctly. And so the first thing we want to do is sine -1, which is O over H. Well, what is O over H? Let's go ahead and do that one first. Well, O is 21 and H is 29. And so we have to do it, just go ahead and put 21 on the top here, which is our numerator, and 29 there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get rid of those. Now let's go to the next one here. It says cosine is A over H. Well, we have A, which is the adjacent, which is over here. It's just going to be 20, right? And then H is the hypotenuse, which is going to be 29. So we have 20 over 29. So we just put 20 over 29. Okay. And our last one is tangent, which is O over A. So let's go and look what O over A is. We have O, which is 21, and A is 20. So we have 21 over 20. Okay, now once we get all those figures in, we're ready to get our answers. And we should come up with the same answer for all three of these when we put these in our calculator. So right now, we're going to go to our calculator. All right, so when we go to our calculator, first of all, we want to make sure it's in degree mode. Right now it's in radians, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to degree mode. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is, since we're going to do sine -1, which all we have to do is on the calculator here, we want to change this right here. This is sine, cosine, and tangent, but we want to make it negative. So we have to do the inverse operation. So we go ahead and push invert. And then now we're going to do sine. And as we saw, the first thing we had sine 21 over 29. So let's go ahead and do that. We got 21, 29, close your parentheses, and we push the equal sign. Now, in these particular challenges here, they're asking you to round it to the nearest degrees. And so if we're rounding this to the nearest degrees, it's going to be 46. And the way we do that is the first digit after this decimal point, when we're rounding to degrees, this first digit after the decimal point is a 3 right here. If that number is 5 or higher, we got to go up. So it would have been 47 degrees. If it's lower than 5, then we leave it at 46 degrees. And that's how we do that. So yeah, this one right here will be 46 degrees. So I'll put 46 degrees for sine -1, 21 over 29. So we have 46 degrees. Okay, the next one we had here, we're going to double check. So our next one we had was cosine 20 over 29. So let's go cosine 20 divided by 29, close your parentheses. And we see once again, we have 46 degrees. And our last one was tan 21 over 20, right? So let's go ahead and do that one. We have tan 21 divided by 20, close the parentheses, equal sign. And as you can see, all three of these came out to be 46 degrees. And so we can be assured that our answer is correct. Okay, and if you got that correct, you give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, we're going to do another one. But for the next one we're going to do, let me go ahead and go back to. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, so let's go ahead and check and see if you did this correctly. Now, the first thing you want to do is step one here, find the hypotenuse. All right, go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and do this particular challenge yourself. Go ahead and pause the video now and go ahead and work this out. All right, so let's go ahead and check your answer and see if you did this correctly. What we're trying to figure out what measurement angle T is. That means this right here is our unknown. That's what we're trying to solve. What measurement degree is this? And so the first thing we want to do, our first step says find the hypotenuse. If you remember from our last challenge, the first thing we want to do is look right across from this right angle box, make like a bow and arrow, boom, 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 boom. And this right here is going to be your hypotenuse. Okay. And if you remember, this is always the adjacent. The adjacent is always connected through this unknown degree measurement here. So these two are connected. That's adjacent, this hypotenuse, and we know the last one over here is going to be, yes, opposite. Just like last time, we're going to use all of these trig ratios mainly because of the fact that we have three different sides here. We know what they are, the unknowns. And so the number 2 here says find the unknowns. It was very easy. We have 48, 73, and 55. Those are our known sides. Okay, find the knowns. Number 2, find the knowns. Well, yes, we know it's 48, 73, and 55. Okay, 3 here says find the trig ratio. Well, sine is O over H. So let's look what is O over H. Well, we have an O right here, and we have H right there. So looking at that, we have 55 over 73. So we have 55 over 73. So sine, we have O over H, which is actually 55 over 73. Okay. The next one here says A over H, which is cosine, A over H. Well, what is A over H? What is A? Yeah, adjacent is right here, which is 48, right? And what is H? Yes, H is right here, which is the hypotenuse is 73. So we put 73 there. What is tangent? O over A. Okay, well, what is tangent? O over A, right? O over A. So we're talking about O, which is 55, and A we know is 48. And so at this point, all we have to do is go to our calculator. Remember what we did before. We're going to put sine -1 times 55 over 73. And then for cosine, we're going to go cosine, that's -1, is just invert. Then we're going to do 48 over 73. And then tangent you see is 55 over 48. So let's go to our calculator and we're going to do each one of these right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our calculator. Okay, we're right here in our calculator, and we're already in invert right here. Remember, you just push this little button here. It changes it from sine, cosine, or the negative sign, the invert. And this is where we want it on our. We also want to make sure we're in a degree mode. So the first one we had was sine. So we went at sine, and it was 55 over 73. So we'll go ahead and put 55 divided by 73, close the parentheses and put your equal sign. And we got 48.88. Now, if you look right here, that first digit that's right after the decimal point, if that number is higher than 5, we got to go up 1, right? And that's the case because it's 8. So this should be 49 degrees. And so 49 degrees is what we have for the first one, and that is sine -1, 55 over 73. All right, let's go ahead and clear that one. Our next one we have was cosine. So we go ahead and cosine, and it was 48 over 73. So 48 divided by 73, close parentheses, put your equal sign, and same thing, we got 49 degrees. So we go ahead and put 49 degrees in there. And then our last one for tangent was tan, and then we had 58 over 48. 55 divided by 48, close your parentheses, equal, and as you see, it's still 49 degrees. And so all three of them are 49 degrees, so we can be assured that we've got the right answer. If you got that, give yourself a round of applause. All right. All right, now the next one we're going to do, let me go ahead and stop sharing on this one right here. It is 49 degrees. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and work this challenge right here out. This one right here. The difference between this one and the others, they actually gave you all of the sides, all of the measurements of all the sides. Now, seeming that we only have 2 of these sides here, we may only be able to use sometimes 1 and sometimes 2 of these different sign ratios. So we won't be using all of these to get to our answers. So let's go ahead and first of all, find the hypotenuse, the adjacent, and the opposite. And that's going to tell us whether we're going to use sine, cosine, and tangent to solve this. All right, let's go ahead and do this particular challenge. Now, this one right here, the only difference is we're only given 2 sides here. Before we were given all 3 sides, okay? So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna do it exactly the same way. We might not be able to use all 3 of these to figure out our answer at the very beginning. Okay, so find the hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Remember, the first thing to do to find the hypotenuse is look at this right angle box right here, and directly across from that, like a bow and arrow, that right there is going to be, yes, the hypotenuse. Now, measurement angle A is what we're trying to figure out. That's this right here. So we know it's always connected. This is adjacent right here, right? It always shares the adjacent there. Okay, and so right here, this right here is going to be opposite. Okay, now the next thing here we want to find out is find the known size. Now, the 2 sides that we have, that we find, that's going to be the 2 that I'm interested in. This one right here, A, and this one right here, which is O. And what is A and O, or O and A? Yes, it is tangent. So we're actually going to be using this particular one right here to solve our particular challenge. Okay, so we said O, we know O is 11 over 11.9. And we know that A is going to be 10. And so we're going to use this to solve it. And then we'll be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to our calculator. We're going to put in tan 11.9 divided by 10 times 11.9 divided by 10. Okay, so we're going to go to our calculator. We're going to go ahead and put in 10 times 11.9 divided by 10 equals what? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, let's just go to our handy dandy calculator. I'm going to go ahead and put in tan -1 right there, right? And then we're going to go 11.9 divided by 10. Sometimes you get that error message. Don't worry about that. Just finish your problem, put your equal sign, and it'll go away in a second, and then you'll have your answer right there, 49.95. And so if we're going to round this to the nearest percent, we're looking at the first digit after the decimal here. And if it's 5 or higher, we're going higher. So yes, we are. That is higher. It's a 9. So this has to be 50%. And so our answer would be 50%. Okay. So if you did that beforehand and you got the right answer, give yourself a round of applause. All right. This is the last one I'm doing today. And need you guys to take notes on all of this. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and check this out and see if you did this correctly. Now, the first thing we want to do in our steps says find a hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. And remember what we've been doing for the last, 3 problems? It's our 4th one. Look at your right angle box. Directly across in the right angle box, it's like a bow and arrow. That's always your hypotenuse. Now we're trying to figure out the unknown is B here. So that means that this one right here is going to be your adjacent. It's always connected where this box is right here. Okay, so that's adjacent. You know, the last side over here is opposite. But really, where we want to find the known sides here, that's really all we're concerned about. That's how we're going to get to our answer. So the known sides we have are 4, and we know that's adjacent, and we have 5, which is hypotenuse. So what is A over H? If you look up here, yes, it is cosine, A over H. So we're going to use cosine to solve this particular challenge. That's going to get us there. So all we have to do is plug in whatever that is. So cosine A over H, we said A is 4 and H is, yes, 5. And it's simply to get to our answer, we just go back to the calculator, and it's cos or cosine -1 times 4/5. And that should give us our answer that we're looking for up here. So let's go to our calculator and let's go ahead and put those figures in. All right, let's go ahead and go. All right, so we have to put in cosine, and then we have 4/5. And we have to, it's 36.869. We have to look at the first digit after the decimal point. If it's higher than 5, we have to go up 1. Is it higher than 5? Yes, 8 is higher than 5. And so we got to make that 37 degrees. And so if you got 37 degrees, give yourself a round of applause. Now, if we were what if we were rounding this to the nearest 10th? I'm just checking you. What if we're rounding to the nearest 10th, not the degrees? Well, then you would look at the second digit after the decimal point, and if that number is 5 or higher, then we have to go up in our 10th here. So it would just be 36.9 instead of 36.8 if we're rounding it to our nearest 10th. Rounding to degrees, like I said, it'll be 37 degrees. All right, so if you got that correctly, give yourself a round of applause. Great job, folks. All right, see you students later, and make sure you study your notes, and you'll be all right. One love.